This is an article from NPR, fact-checking Trump's Oval Office pitch for a border wall. And it's a joke, obviously. There is no fact-checking here. They are trying to spin their propaganda so they can, promote their open border agenda. But claim one, humanitarian and security crisis. There is a growing humanitarian and security crisis at the southern border. That's what President Trump said. Well, according to the fact checkers, that's not true, because the number of illegal aliens crossing is much lower than it was in 2016 or 2014, according to this article. But that only is until September of 2018. But we've seen a huge surge since then of 60,000 both in October and November. And yesterday we got the statistic that in December alone, Border Patrol detained 29,518 illegal aliens crossing the border. So yes, this is a huge crisis.
And welcome to this edition of InfoWars, Infowars.com. Doug Hagmann, Joe Hagmann sitting in for Alex Jones. And of course, we've got so much to cover as usual. It's never a slow news day. That's to be sure. You know, everyone's talking about, we've got about 5 or 6 different battlefronts, I suppose. We as patriots, the patriots here in the United States are under assault. We're under attack constantly. Donald Trump, of course, is the only stopgap between the globalists, the agenda of the globalists, and the American people, and we thank him for that. And as we look back over the time here that we've seen here since Donald Trump was elected into office, we're looking at day number 721 of the Donald J. Trump presidency today, date 721. 721 days in office, and I would say, based on the entirety of the accomplishments that you'll never hear about the mainstream media, he has accomplished more in those 721 days, and specifically in the first 500 days than any other president in America. Let's never forget that. There will be detractors. There will be people who are saying, look, he's selling out. Well, that's not true. And if you believe that, you're believing a lie. This is also day number 604 for those keeping track at home of the special counsel investigation by Robert Mueller. Compliments of a recused Jeff Sessions from the Attorney General's office, as well as Rod Rosenstein and, of course, Comey. So kind of putting things in perspective. Looking back during his campaign in the first 500 days, what did he run on? Of course, ran on strong borders, strong economy. Hey, look at the economy. Look at the economic numbers. The economic growth, tremendous. Yet there is a fight taking place, obviously. And part of that fight involves the Fed, involves interest rate hikes, involves the issues that, of course, would take Donald Trump's, President Trump, that is, his wins, and of course, cause certain things to go sideways because of Fed rate hikes and such. So you've got a bunch of globalists fighting against President Donald Trump. But again, look at this in the context of 721 days in office, 604 under the direct assault of the globalist Mueller regime, unfettered. Just a tremendous legal attack and attacks all of the time. Now, among the battlefronts that we the people face, and among the battlefronts that President Trump is fighting on our behalf, he's the commander-in-chief, our commander-in-chief. Among things he's doing, of course, he's calling out the Democratic Socialists on the border. And you've heard Owen and others talk about the border situation and Oath Keepers, Stuart Rhodes, great friend of the show, by the way. And for those who don't know me or my son, we have a show. It's called The Hagmann Report. We broadcast live 7 to 10 weeknights. Our home base is HagmannReport.com. That's Hagmann, 2 N's, HagmannReport.com. And we thank you for tuning in. And of course, go to HagmannReport.com for all of the information about us. But having said all of that, one thing that really caught our attention, and I want to make sure that everyone really understands this situation, because it's being misconstrued in the media, it's being misconstrued and deliberately munged by many on social networking. And that's what I heard earlier. Owen was talking about this, and it looks like President Donald Trump will have to resort to declaring a national emergency with respect to the border crisis. because we do have a crisis on the border. But let me get some facts straight about these national emergencies and about what a national emergency is, because you hear a lot about this, but how many people really understand what a national emergency is, what it does, and the history of it? And you might think, well, that's just, hey, it's boring and it really doesn't matter. Oh, it does matter, because the National Emergencies Act of 1974 is really what applies here. And that was really done. That was a law under President Ford, signed into law by President Ford under that specific Congress, to rein in the powers of the presidency. However, having done that, it also granted or further delineated, or more specifically delineated, the powers to our chief executive, that being, in this case, President Donald Trump. But when you look historically at this act, currently, and I don't know how many people know this, I'm not sure how many, if this was gone over, but you have right now, as I speak, 31 different ongoing national emergencies. The first and oldest emergency took place under President Carter back in 1979 during the Iran crisis, or the Iran hostage situation. And that was one of two declared by President Carter. Next, you have, of the 31, you had, or including the 31, you had President Reagan, who declared a total of 6 national emergencies during his time in office. President George H.W. Bush, Poppy Bush, declared 4. And then all of a sudden, what do we see? Bill Clinton, as a member of the Democratic Party, and of course the husband of Hillary Clinton. I almost said something different. The subservient member of the Clinton family. Under Bill Clinton, you had 17 national emergencies, 6 of which are still intact or in effect. Moving to George W. Bush, of course, 9/11 happened. George W. Bush instituted 12 national emergencies under his reign. 10 are still in effect. And Obama, second only really to Bill Clinton, he declared 13 national emergencies. 7 are still in effect. So when the lunatic liberals out there, when these sissified individuals out there talk about the National Security Act, and it's not for presidents, or the president can't do this with respect to the Immigration and Naturalization Act, well, they're full of it. And I don't care if it's the leftists from CNN, the fake news members of the CNN group, or whatever mainstream media outlet you listen to, or even the political pundits, including but not limited to Napolitano and Fox News. The bottom line is he has every single right to declare a national emergency. As well, he should in this case, because we are looking at, again, this is a humanitarian crisis, but the humanitarian crisis was is a manufactured crisis. It's manufactured by the globalists, manufactured by the people who worship at the altar and the feet of George Soros, who worship at the altar of the Obamas and Clintons and such. So as soon as people understand that we are all being gamed, that these people have created this situation, along with the uniparty. And when I refer to Democrats and Republicans, as I do, I don't want to continue to have disclaimers that Republicans, of course, and Democrats are of really the same party in essence, with few exceptions. They're members of the uniparty. They're all globalists for the most part. But it is because of their inaction over the years, deliberate action, that this has taken place. We have signaled to foreign countries, especially the South and Central America, as well as Mexico, hey, our doors are open. We don't want your finest, brightest, or whatever. We want the people in this country to change the moral, ethical, and theological, as well as the demographic makeup of our country. And that's the intent all along, is to take down the United States. And of course, this is one of 5 or 6 battlefields. Quickly before the break, and then after the break, I'm going to bring Joe on because he's got some other facts and figures on this. When you look at the bigger picture here, the facts that, just a few facts that the Democratic Socialists don't want you to know about the border crisis. In fiscal year of 2018, 17,000 adults at the border with existing criminal records were arrested by CBP and border agents. Those are people, that is, with criminal records. The numbers, folks, are staggering. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The children that are dying not as a result of our agencies, but a result of the globalist policies. I want to thank each and every person out there who has supported this operation by ordering the products. Let me tell you something. Do you notice a little bit more of an edge I've got? It's because of the products from InfoWarsStore.com. I'll say this. I was a good boy, well, at least according to my wife, and I did get a nice package of InfoWars Store products. And after taking the Super Male Vitality, among other products, folks, shop there. I can now not just see the camera, I can see through the camera. Okay, of course I'm kidding. I'm going to get emails, but here's the thing. They work. The products work, and by ordering from InfoWarsStore.com, you're helping fund the fight. We are at war with the globalists. We're at war with the evil in this country and across the world. We're at war. But the other side of that, in addition to being at war, we are also informing the people who otherwise would not get this information. And we need to do that, because otherwise you're still going to have the bunch of googly-eyed people out there who have no clue what's going on. And I'll tell you what, between you and I think you'd agree with me on this, we don't have enough time. And we need to educate these people quickly. So help fund the operation. Help fund the operation, InfoWarsStore.com. The products are magnificent. I guarantee you, for example, the Male Vitality, it'll just knock your socks off. Support this operation. I cannot tell you how important that is. And support InfoWars.com as well. And make sure that for every single person who wants this operation shut down, wants it censored, you tell 10, 20 people about this operation. It's that important, because if we lose at this level, we're going to lose a hell of a lot more than just our way of life. We're going to lose our entire country, and we can't have that. Now, before the break, I was talking about the wall and, of course, the border security. Big news, of course. And President Donald Trump, of course, has the legal authority to declare a national emergency, and specific to the Immigration Act of 1965 in that narrow band. But I just, before I cut to Joe, I want to say one thing. What I heard on CNN, I believe it was CNN, but I know it was attributed to Jason Johnson, made me want to vomit. In fact, I think I threw up a little bit in my mouth when I heard this. He stated, and I quote, "The wall is a monument to white nationalism." Now, how in the hell and I'm asking this, what unmitigated gall for him or others to stand on the graves of children who have died crossing the border and say that this is a monument to white nationalism. And if that's not good enough, the others who have said, and I'm referencing here in my notes, those who support the wall are not sophisticated, they're not that bright, and they're racist. That's how much the fake news media, and of course you know that, think of you, but even more importantly, that's how much the politicians, the uniparty in Washington, think of you, and it's sickening if you accept that. Joe is with me. We're going to be talking. We've done so much investigation on this. Joe, I'm going to kick it over to you. I know I hogged the first segment, but I frankly, I am absolutely, I'm done.
We have people like Ocasio. We have people like the new Congressman Ocasio-Cortez suggesting illegal immigrants are more American than Trump supporters, and this is the liberal insanity being showcased by this 116th Congress, which is exactly what I expected to see. And this Congress is going to be a 2-year reel for a Donald Trump 2020 reelection campaign, and this wall and the immigration issue is front and center in this right now. But there's a great piece from The Hill. Yes, Trump has the authority to declare a national emergency for border wall. And this article that is written by Jonathan Turley goes into a number of facts citing constitutional and other abilities that the president would be able to use under his authority to put the wall in place. Now, what's very interesting about this, these liberals who are the Schumers and the Pelosi's who issued their response to Trump's address to the nation, which I want to talk about too if we have time this hour, they issued this very silly, disjointed response, and the optics were terrible. But an interesting fact, Democrats paid for a wall in Jordan. And listen to this. Chuck Schumer, he was one of the people who was sponsoring and signed this bill under Barack Obama, funded a 287-mile border wall in Jordan just last year, but won't fund the border wall here in the United States because it's immoral, according to Nancy Pelosi. But 1 year ago, in the 2018 omnibus spending bill, provides just enough funds to build 33 miles of fencing on the Texas border, but it also provides $500 million to help Jordan build a wall and defense line against jihad terrorists trying to cross its 287-mile border with Iraq and Syria. So the omnibus budget says on page 394, section 9011, up to $500 million of funds appropriated by this act for the Defense Security Cooperation Agency in Operation Maintenance defense-wide may use to provide assistance to the government of Jordan to support armed forces of Jordan and to enhance security along its borders. Democrats had no problem funding the wall in Jordan, and it was not an immoral wall then, and now only 10 months, and that was only 10 months ago. That's a quote from Jim Hoft from the Gateway Pundit. So even President Trump went over to Congress Wednesday for a chat that deteriorated into him walking out in disgust because there is no negotiating, apparently no more debates, no more dialogues. They have nothing to offer. The Democrats do have nothing to offer. They refuse to add the funding. It's not even a lot of money. We're talking $5 billion. We've given more aid to Mexico and Central America.
Relative, okay, we're talking $5 billion. Yeah, it's not a lot of money relative to the budget. Okay, I don't have $5 billion.
Right. $5 billion is a lot of money to me, but not to the. We're talking about $1 trillion spending bills.
Yeah, but you got Tweedledum and Tweedledummer attempting to refute the morality of a wall. You got Ma and Pa Kettle. I love the memes, by the way. I'm not big on that, but I do love that, and I think that they own that. But here's the other issue to that. Of course, the walls elsewhere. The bigger objective, I think people are losing sight of the bigger objective here. They hate America. So we're talking about Pelosi and Schumer. They hate America. They hate Donald Trump. They want to burn this country down or will burn this country down simply because they hate Donald Trump more than they love America. And I'm sick and tired. And I hope everyone else is sick and tired. And by the way, I spoke to a member of our congressional district. They are saying if American people start calling and making their voices known, that's making a difference. So get off the couch, pick up the phone, make a call, be nice, but say we demand a wall. We demand
what do they say?
We demand to go for it.
50 complaints. 50 complaints that they start to address it.
That's right. It's anywhere between 50 to it's lower than you think. So you can make a difference, folks. You're listening to InfoWars. So many issues facing this country today. The globalists, Alex says the globalists are on the run, and it's interesting to watch the people freaking out and saying, "Oh, well, no, they're not on the run." Yes, we've got them on the run. It's because of InfoWars. It's because of our show. It's because of the people who are awake and who are telling other people out there that look. This is the truth. We're all getting gamed, and it's them versus us. It's really is that simple. We've got enemies within the gate. This is not hyperbole, and this is not an overstatement, but the fact is this. We are right now in a civil war or not of our making. And I want to mention something. I've said this so many times, and I say this with a heavy heart, but I ask, what could be worse than a civil war? Because that would be horrific. I suppose from an ideological standpoint, maybe not having one. If there is a lack of any kind of congruity, or if they see, here's the problem. We are a country not arguing about the means or methods. And think about this. The divisiveness is the objectives. It's not how to get to where we want to go, where the division exists. And please understand this. In fact, the professor, I believe, speaking at Hillsdale College, said this. If we were a country who was divided over the methods of fixing our country or creating our country, if the division was how to, that's workable. But when we are pulling in opposite directions with respect to the objectives of where we want to be, is this going to be a communist, socialist utopia? Is that what this is going to be? Because it cannot exist in the constitutional republic. So you've got on one side the red element, and it's not a red wave as one would expect, but it's a red as in communist crimson red. And the objective is to get there by any means necessary. The Clappers and the Brennans and the Comeys and the Obamas and the Rices and the Lynches and the usual suspects and the Clintons. And on the other side, it's us. And Joe, I know that we've talked.
Look, this border wall thing, and the more I read into this, the more I want to rip my own hair out. Watching Pelosi and Schumer, we mentioned Trump's first Oval Office address to the nation, which I gotta say I wish he would do more of. Many things President Trump does great. One of the things that bugs me most about the president is not the fact that he does use social media a lot. It's just he says a lot of things on there that he could go without saying. But I like the idea of him sitting in front of the cameras and addressing the nation face to face as he did on Tuesday. Now, Schumer and Pelosi issued a response to that speech, and it was a joke. And if you read,
it was a pathetic response.
It was. And what was Pelosi's? If you heard and listened to what they said, they laid out their own plan for border security. What did they want to do? Oh, they wanted to fix the roads and ports of entries to make it easier for illegal aliens to come in, not addressing any kind of security in the areas where there are no fencings and are no borders. And it's just a joke. And I have the transcript here, which I'm not going to get into right now, but unbelievably, they, as I said, paid for the wall in Jordan. And Trump does have the ability to use his under the Constitution, he has the power to declare a national emergency and get this done himself, even though they are not willing and will fight tooth and nail saying that it's unconstitutional. But the left, they are refusing to acknowledge the severity of the problems of the southern border. One, it's a humanitarian and security crisis. And this is an article from NPR, fact-checking Trump's Oval Office pitch for a border wall. And it's a joke, obviously. There is no fact-checking here. They are trying to spin their propaganda so they can, promote their open border agenda. But claim one, humanitarian and security crisis. There is a growing humanitarian and security crisis at the southern border. That's what President Trump said. Well, according to the fact checkers, that's not true, because the number of illegal aliens crossing is much lower than it was in 2016 or 2014, according to this article. But that only is until September of 2018. But we've seen a huge surge since then of 60,000 both in October and November. And yesterday we got the statistic that in December alone, Border Patrol detained 29,518 illegal aliens crossing the border. So yes, this is a huge crisis.
I want to interrupt you here because you bring up an important point. Listen to this, because the people that not caught at the border, that got into the inside of this country, outside of that 100-mile buffer zone around the coast and around the borders. Last year, okay, think about this, because people are, You've got to be absolutely out of your mind, people, if this is okay with you and the Pelosi's and the Schumers and the fact checkers and the garbage, in my view, in my personal opinion, now the garbage, these right-wing watch and the whatever else kind of PolitiFact and all these garbage places, again, in my view, that attempt to massage the facts when in fact we're right now we are averaging 60,000 illegal and inadmissible aliens per month on our southern border alone, and that does not necessarily count. They're not all counted there. That's what we know of. And guess what? In last year, in fiscal year 2017 and 2018, ICE officers arrested approximately 250,000 illegal aliens on various criminal charges or convictions within the interior of the United States. These are people who got in, who went the 100+ miles, they live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Omaha, Nebraska, Cincinnati, Ohio, or wherever. Think about that. And by the way, that includes over 100,000 for assault, 30,000 for rape and sex crimes, and another 4,000 for homicides. So there's your fact checking.
Yeah, and the Democrats and the left and the media are trying to downplay the true dangers of having these open borders. One of the claims here in this NPR article is about illegal drugs, and this is what the president said: "Our southern border is a pipeline for vast quantities of illegal drugs. My administration has presented Congress with a detailed proposal to secure the border to stop criminal gangs, drug smugglers, and human traffickers. It's a tremendous problem." What did the NPR say? Fact check. According to the DEA, most illegal drugs imported to the U.S. from Mexico are smuggled through legal ports of entry. Only a very small fraction comes from the parts of the border that would be covered by the wall. How do they know? How do they know?
Where did they get that? Did they get that by watching the reruns of border security episodes? Remember
it's a joke. I mean, there's no way to substantiate it. They have no idea what they're talking about. And I'm sure much of many drugs come through legal ports of entry, but equal or more come through open areas that don't have any security. Sometimes, and I know this from watching the documentaries and shows like Narcos, they'll set up a shipment to be caught, of, let's say, 5 pounds of cocaine while they have 1,000 pounds, going in the other way. So there is no downside to having the wall, but the left wants to make this an issue about civil rights, about immorality. The wall is immoral, and that makes no sense whatsoever. What's immoral are these politicians who are selling out their country in order to gain votes and add to their Democratic base by giving illegal aliens special privileges, which hurts people who have come here legally. We've interviewed just recently Angel Mom Sabine Durden, who lost her son to an illegal immigrant in a hit-and-run drunk driving accident. The illegal immigrant was already out on bail for a previous DUI, and after he was caught, he was released on $5,000 bail, and he fled the country. And these illegal aliens seem to be getting more rights.
It's right. He lied to the courts, and there's nothing that was able to be done.
Guaranteeing your food independence is a crucial part of prepping. Between debt crisis, natural disasters, or even simple power outages, having a supply of storable meals is crucial. With InfoWars Life Select storable food, you can make sure you and your family are ready for any emergency. With drinks, snacks, and meals in amounts ranging from 72 hours to a full year, there's no better place to look for healthy, easy, and incredible meals. Including meals such as Traveler's Stew, home-style potato soup, and a variety of other meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. InfoWars Life Select storable food will help you eat comfortably in a time of need. They even work great for camping. Simply pack a 72-hour kit to go and you have easy-to-cook and transport food for you and your loved one's trip. Don't be caught surprised by an emergency. Make sure you're stocked up today with all the food you need for an affordable price with InfoWars Life Select storable foods.